Hey everyone, welcome back to an episode of the Elixir Foundation series. So in this episode right here, we're going to be going on from the previous episode. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you guys how to extract this user agent from this over here. So let's talk a little bit about data types. There's one data type which is not very common in other programming languages, but in Elixir, it's called a tuple. So a tuple is something that looks like this. So it's when you have like a number of elements in a particular order. It's not exactly an array or anything like that. It's just a tuple. And what you can do is you can do all kinds of cool stuff with it. But in this case, what we want to do is we want to turn a list. So right now what we have is called a list of tuples. So what we want to do is we want to get the user agent from here. So if I take a look at the con over here, so right now we have a list of tuples. And what we want to do is we want to convert this list of tuples into what's called a map. So a map is a lot like a hash in Ruby or an object in JavaScript, where you can do like you can actually access the different key value, and then you can get the value using the key. So I'm going to show you guys a function called enum_into. So right now we can access the request headers from, okay, so let me just try that again. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a reload and access the server again. And here we're gonna do con, so I can do con.req headers. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna convert this thing into a map. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So headers equals enum.into, con.req headers, and then here we wanna use a map, an empty map, and hit enter. So now, if we take a look at the headers, we have actually a map. So we can do something with headers, and we can do user, agent, something like that. And then now we can get the actual user agent. So in this header, all we really need is this user agent string. And then we need to pass that into the browser like I mentioned before. So we can use the browser because we've already included it in our project. So browser.bot, and we can do headers, user agent, false. So there you go. So we can already use the browser and it detects that, hey, this is actually a real user. So later on, I'm going to show you guys how to spoof the browser to make it look like a bot, and we're going to try this and it's going to work as well. It's going to return true. So now we kind of like know where we're going in terms of the direction of what we want to do. Let's go ahead and start to implement this thing here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call the headers equals and then enum.into and then con.req headers, and then we're going to do a empty map over here. And so now we can use this headers to detect if the user is a bot, and then we're going to return based on that. So if headers, so browser.bot, and then headers. And then here we're going to do user agent, do bot, and then else, do user. So using this logic, we can only detect two types. We can detect whether the user is a bot, whether the request is coming from a user or a bot. But we need something a little bit more complex. So we need to actually pass our user agent before we actually even detect that it's a bot. We need to make sure that whether or not it's the headless Chrome. So if it is a headless Chrome, then we need to say, hey, I'm headless, this request is coming from headless Chrome. And if it's coming from a headless Chrome, we need to serve it the index file so that the headless Chrome can then consume that file and then render the JavaScript and then return us the actual HTML, the full-blown pre-rendered HTML. So we need to detect another type of user. So basically, we need to detect another kind of user, and basically we're going to detect for a string. So in headless Chrome, so this is what's called a module attribute. And in Ruby, we have this thing called constants. This is very similar to constants. Not entirely, but very similar. And so here we're going to do headless Chrome. And basically, if we are headless Chrome, we want to return the headless Chrome. And if not, then we'll detect whether it's a bot or a user. So basically, what we need to do now is check if in our string over here, our user agent string, if it contains the word headless Chrome, because this is what's going to be passed into the user agent if it is coming from a headless Chrome, which is what Croxy is using. So don't worry about if you're not aware of what Croxy is and whatever. Just know that we need to detect if we have a browser, we have a headless Chrome accessing our server. So here, what we need to do is we need to do two things, right? We need to So we're going to use a statement called with, and basically what that allows us to do is we can extract just the user agent. We don't want the entire headers, so we can do something like this. So this is what's called pattern matching. User agent, UA, and then here, we can just put this one here. So this is a little bit better. And then now, we can do something like this. So UA, and then equals, and then headless Chrome. So what this is just that it's checking within the string to see if there's a substring that matches headless Chrome. So where is let me just comment out this if bot and all that stuff first. So in the UA, our user agent, we're going to check inside the user agent if we have a substring called headless Chrome. And if that returns true, what we want to do is we want to return headless Chrome. And else, so if we don't find headless Chrome in our request, then we're going to do this check, whether it's a user or bot, right? So just this function here checks for three things. It checks whether it's a headless Chrome or not, and if it is, then it will return the headless Chrome. But if it's not, then it'll check to see if it's a bot or a user. So simple enough, right? So for else, we need to do something like this. All right. Actually, we can pass it the connection. So we can actually also pass in the entire connection into the browser bot, and it will detect for us, without having us to even actually passing in the user agent. We can actually pass it the connection, and this, will handle that fine without us having to do any extra work. So that's essentially what our code will look like. So I'll do the cleanup in the next episode and explain to you guys why I want to clean everything up. So right now our code is not exactly complete. So because right now we need to pass, in our middleware, in our plug, in our pipeline, basically, we need to return the connection back to whoever is calling this, which is the plug framework. And basically, we need to return a connection, but inside, we're gonna now embed something inside of the connection so that we can later on call on that value, right? So the values we want to return are these atoms over here. So essentially, we need to go a little bit further, but I think this is quite a heavily packed episode. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a pause right here, and we're gonna wrap up this plug development here in the next episode. So with that, I want to wrap up this episode. Thank you for becoming a member. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the content on our site. So yeah, with that, I'm going to wrap up this episode. I'll see you guys in the next one.